See here. Oh, we are live. Hello, everyone. How are you today? If you are joining us from home, my name is Mariana. You are watching Mexico Relocation Guide. I have with me today our customers, Evan and Nicky, who are living in Aguascalientes. If you see the spelling of that on the title down below, I know a couple of you guys have been interested in learning about different cities that are not like the typical foreigner hotspots, right? Like the typical expat hotspots, like San Miguel de Allende, Puerto Vallarta, Los Cabos, Mexico City. And I think Aguascalientes is a city that doesn't get nearly as much recognition as it should. It's a great city, has all the infrastructure you would need in a mid to large city. Has a great airport, has good highways, good hospitals. But anyway, we're going to talk about a lot of things about Evan and Nicky's experience moving to Mexico. So thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. If you're new around here, let me know in the comments. I always love reading what you guys think. And if you're new and if this is the very first time that you are tuning into Mexico Relocation Guide. So see that a couple of you guys have already joined. So I will let Nicky and Evan introduce themselves and tell you guys a little bit more about their story and how they ended up in Mexico.
Hello, my name is Nicky. I'm actually from Hong Kong. And
Okay. and I'm Evan. I'm from the U.S. Initially, and we were living in Cambodia. That's where we met.
yes,
I was there for 7 years.
I was there 11 years.
Yeah, and after about a year of me being there, we met, and it was a lot of good about Cambodia, but there were some challenges, and we were talking about where to move to after Cambodia. And I've always loved Mexico, but I'd only been to the coast and Monterrey.
I had never been before.
Yeah. So last summer.
Oh, you had never been before to Mexico, Nicky?
No.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
I actually didn't know anything about Mexico.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Okay.
So I'm talking about Mexico, and she's like, "Well, what's Mexico like?" And so last summer we got married in the U.S., and then we spent a month in Mexico, in the Central Highlands of Mexico. So we explored
Oaxaca,
Puebla,
Querétaro,
Guanajuato, San Miguel de Allende.
Your pronunciation is excellent, Evan. I mean, it's just so good.
Yeah. So, but well, I appreciate that. I'm working on my Spanish now because it slips so bad. But we're taking classes twice a week, separate classes.
Yeah. Different levels. Yeah.
But so I don't know. We really liked a lot of places.
Yeah, it was very, because I didn't know anything, so I didn't have any expectation. So the turnout is like, oh, it's really, really nice and very interesting. Like food-wise, I love all the food.
Yeah.
And very colorful in so many ways. The culture.
Yeah.
And people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually decided that we're going to move to Puebla. That was our number one choice. I mean, we loved other places too, but after Phnom Penh, where the air quality is so bad in Phnom Penh, we just wanted to live somewhere with better air. And Puebla has the 2 volcanoes right nearby, and sometimes the ash gets in the air. So we just thought we didn't want that. So we kind of went back to the drawing board, and Aguascalientes came up when we're kind of searching for another option. And the more we read about Aguascalientes, it just kind of spoke to us. High altitude, nice temperate weather, a dry climate, nice people. Walkable city, flat, not like Guanajuato, which
not so many hills. Yeah, easier to walk.
So we just talked about it and watched a few videos, of people who went to Aguascalientes, read some stuff, and we just decided, you know what, let's move to Aguascalientes, at least try it out for a year. and 3 months in, and we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Evan, Nicky, and I talked before this live stream, and they were mentioning that, you know, they actually, before they recently bought a car, but before they bought a car, they were taking public transportation everywhere, walking pretty much everywhere. So do you feel that if somebody was considering moving to Aguascalientes, and I guess it depends on what neighborhood in Aguascalientes you live in, maybe too, but do you think it's pretty easy to get around without a car?
I think so. Like, of course, with the bus system, there's some frustration. Like, you might miss the
Not
bus.
on time.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it was actually nice for us. We are able to walk around and get to know the places. Yeah.
Yeah. So our first month, we stayed in Barrio de Guadalupe in Centro, and which was really great. I mean, we were able to just walk, you know, around the city. We were really close to Mercado Terán, which is a really nice mercado. And then it was great birria, like right nearby in Mercado Juarez. And like we basically walked like
everywhere.
Centro. Yeah, if you see the map of Centro, all the different barrios, we just walked across the city, up and down, and then we took the bus. And yeah, it was really good to explore that way. But where we are now, we're in the west side of the city, and so there are 4 buses that go through Centro from outside of where our house is. And it's funny because, like, you know, they're supposed to be spaced out, right? Like this one comes, then 10 minutes later, this one comes, but all 4 will come at the same time, and you'll miss all 4 buses, and then they're all clumped together. So then you wait like an hour for the next bus clump to show up when they're all going to Centro. So it's kind of funny.
It's a learning curve for sure.
Yeah,
but you're not staggered.
Yeah, but there's an app called Move It. That we found pretty fast. Well, actually, she found it. Yeah. And it has a schedule, more or less, you know, of the bus.
So it gave you an idea of when to be in certain spots to be able to have the best chance of actually getting it. Yeah. And taxis are widely available too. So, you know, if you by chance were in a hurry or needed to get somewhere, or it started raining or something.
Yeah, then you can actually get Uber or Didi.
Yeah.
Or the rideshare.
Taxi here is actually a very reasonable price.
Yeah, taxis here across the board, they use the meter. Like we've never experienced a taxi driver trying to scam us here. Yeah. The meter comes on right away. Taxis are cheaper than Uber in Aguascalientes. It's just trying to get a taxi sometimes is tough.
It's hard, yes.
Yeah. Depends, I guess. If you're not in Centro or the downtown area, maybe they're not passing as often. Is that what you mean?
Or sometimes they're just so busy.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Yeah. We had one time we walked down to Home Depot, I think. It was about an hour walk. This is before we had a car. So we just thought, okay, we'll walk there because we wanted to exercise. Yeah. And we bought something, and then we're trying to get a taxi, and there was finally an open taxi, and we flagged it down. And then he pulls up, and then he goes, "Yeah, I'm not working right now." We're like, well, then why are you stopping?
He was so nice. He needed to let you guys know, like he wasn't just ignoring you. Yeah, I hear you. That's hilarious. Yeah, you know, I think a lot of people more and more are looking for that lifestyle of possibly not having to rely on a car for everything, and so. They do ask us a lot, like, hey, you know, what are some cities that are very walkable? And to your point that you guys mentioned earlier, that it's flat, so it's not like Guanajuato, for example, or San Miguel de Allende, where you know, if you're not pretty fit, you can get very tired on those hills. Or if you have even some mobility issues, it might be really hard for you to walk on some of these hills. So yeah, I think Aguascalientes is a great city for people to consider. You mentioned drier weather, so that's actually a really good point. Would you say that also, like, you know, for starters, it's not very humid at all?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, so I spent 23 years in Reno, Nevada. So that's a altitude desert, and this it's not quite as dry as Reno, but it's pretty close. So like in Cambodia, let's say if it was 43 Celsius, right, which sometimes it gets that hot,
like 105 or something, yeah.
Right, but it would the feel like temperature would go up to like 52, 53,
Yeah, suffocating.
But here, like, I mean, the nights are cool, the days are super nice. Like even in December, it would get down to like
nice,
1 or 2 at night.
Yeah, it was cold at night, but
daytime it was pleasant,
nice.
And it's great to sleep when it's cold.
Yeah. You get to pull out that one jacket or the couple of winter clothes that you have. But during the day, you would say it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I think like some most day, I think quite sunny. Yeah. So it's kind
you
of
definitely need some sunblock.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's enough sun here where on our house we have one of those solar heaters for the water, and I think there was a run of just a few days where it was really cloudy and rainy.
Like today.
Like today, that we had to turn on our gas heating for the water. But most days we just use the solar heated water for showering, and it's plenty hot. And there's enough for 2 of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, that saves you definitely money on gas. And that's awesome.
Yeah, we filled our gas once since we've been in this house for 3 months.
Yeah,
we put 500 pesos in one time, and I think we still have a good amount of gas. So
yeah. Do you have a cylinder or do you have a stationary tank?
A stationary.
Okay, got it. So for those of you guys watching at home, there's usually 2 ways to get your gas in Mexico. It's usually they will replace a cylinder. It's literally like, the gas tanks that you see some places. And then a company will come and like replace it with a filled one. Or some people have stationary tanks and then, they'll come with a pipe and actually fill the gas, your stationary tank in your house. So there's usually 2 ways that people get their gas in Mexico. Now, I know that a lot of you are wondering, their cost of living. We're definitely going to get into that, how much they pay for their rental. Evan has a really good breakdown of some of his expenses. So I know you guys, that's probably one of your pressing questions. And they have a really nice house. Would you mind telling me again what neighborhood you guys are in?
In the west?
We're in the west, right by La Soledad. It's kind of like the area that as being more that is newer development kind of happening in the west. The north is very developed. The south is pretty heavily developed. The west,
I think the south,
yeah,
some part
where the new construction is going up, and
south
is the most populated, I believe.
The north. Well, I don't know. Is it the south or north?
No, I think it's the north.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they have a lot of industrial companies there in the south.
Yeah. Yeah, like Nissan is in the south, and a lot of the auto companies are down there.
Yeah, the manufacturing plants.
Yes.
Yeah. But before we get into that, I do think that for a lot of you who are wondering about obtaining Mexican residency and Mexican bureaucracy in general, probably something that I should do a better job at is setting the right expectation of what to expect with Mexican bureaucracy, because it can be very different from where a lot of you guys may be coming from. For Nicky and Evan, they're travelers, right? I mean, she's from Hong Kong, he's from the US, but they both lived in Cambodia. So they're used to maybe the way that things work differently in different countries. But maybe for a lot of you guys, if you haven't lived outside the United States or Canada or maybe parts of Europe, when you move to Mexico, you definitely have to practice your patience because Mexican bureaucracy can be different. I mean, I'm frustrating at times because things are slower, and sometimes, one person won't give you the full extent of what is required to finish XYZ process, which is why we do have a lot of excellent facilitators that can help you from point A to point B, do a lot of the hand-holding for you, particularly with the immigration process, which is one of the things that maybe the very first steps in moving to Mexico, right, will be your immigration process. So Nikki has an interesting story about why there was a delay in their residency visas.
Because I'm from Hong Kong, but because of the changes of country, so now because it's belong to China, so but still we have two systems. So I kind of not under China, but is under China. So when we got to get, like, they're trying to find Hong Kong in the system and they couldn't. So because they were looking under China and they have to search for a few days. So it's kind of like delayed my residency card.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
like the second part of the process, you actually receiving the card.
Yes. And I did.
Yeah.
But it was like,
Even in Hong Kong, it was interesting.
yeah, Hong Kong also, I think not many people actually applying that in Hong Kong. So we tried to find information, how to do it, how to make appointment. There was none. So I kind of like have to go to the office and then they get kind of like freaking out. It's like, why am I in person? You can't make appointment in person. But I'm like,
Interesting.
it's like, how can I make appointment? So they're actually nice, but then, like, because I don't know, it's that everything is on the website, but it's like it wasn't very updated on the website.
Yeah.
So it was like
Typical.
I have to, like, they said just call, use phone, and I did, and then they said, oh no, you have to use email. So they're a very different way to do it, and like I don't know what to do. So, but what I do, I just try to do everything. Well, they said call, okay, I call every day until they give me a solution how to make appointment. So I said send an email. So I sent an email, but no reply. So I send it every day.
And this was on the Mexican embassy side?
Yes. And then eventually they gave me the particular email address. So I said, like, so what should I do? Should I send it just once a day, or you can just send whatever you want? So I said, should I send it a few times a day? I said, I think so. So I did that for a few days. Eventually they gave me the appointment.
Okay.
So it was a little bit adventure.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, it just seemed like maybe they weren't used to processing too many residency visas, so they didn't really have a process.
Yeah, I don't think so. They probably did a lot of tourist visa.
Mm-hmm.
So when I was there, like, there's a few things they require me to do. So that took me maybe about 2 weeks. So I was quite worried because, like, the time getting shorter for me to leave. Yeah, so I told them when is the time that I have to go to US to meet my husband, and then they actually get everything done before I left. So, but it was so stressful.
Yeah, but it worked out. It worked out. Sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, and just to jump on that, just a very like tangential thing is we had a cat in Cambodia.
Yes.
So we couldn't really bring the cat to Hong Kong because quarantine issues. So she flew to Hong Kong. I flew to the U.S. with our cat from Cambodia, and then went back to Hong Kong to stay with her. And then that's when we went through the process. And then we both flew back to the U.S. Because the cat was staying with my mom. And then we picked up the cat, Leo, and then we flew Leo down to Mexico. So that was another wrinkle in the whole thing.
Yeah. So for those of you who have pets, there might be like another being that you have to consider, right, when you're going through the process, if in case they're not on your person at the time.
Yeah.
But also, I wanted to add, like, I prepare everything. Like, I over prepared paperwork. Like, they asked for things. They did actually list out what they required, but and then when I have kind of like an interview, it's not actually interview, but I went according to appointment, and the officer actually told me what I need to get. But it's like, I don't know, some of the thing that I couldn't get, but like the income approved, like proof of the income, where the money comes from. So I have to prepare everything, the bank statement, and even transactions.
Yeah.
So I have to print everything out.
Yeah.
Page by page by page. Yeah. It was like 40, 50 pages of bank statements.
I had like a whole thick folder.
And then in Mexico was a whole nother
Another
thing.
Another binder of papers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mexican bureaucrats, I should say, because I don't think it's Mexicans in general, but Mexican government offices love their papers, their copies.
Yeah.
I mean, that if you notice, like in Mexican government offices, there's usually like 2 or 3 places down the street that will make copies for you.
Oh, yeah.
They love
and
copies.
They're needed.
Yeah, they're very much needed for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good reminder for people watching from home that, you know, we do talk a lot about in this channel about some of the positives of living in Mexico, but there are some of the frustrations that I think are valid to get frustrated at, and just to have the right expectation that things will work differently, and just take it one day at a time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's.
And also you have to be calm.
Yeah.
Because like I was actually at the consulate for when I had the meeting like 3 hours at one point. So it's like I didn't know like if I can actually get the card at the end. I thought, oh my God, I have to come back again. But then I wait, and eventually they give it to me. But I think just take it easy.
Yeah. Well, and then our process in Mexico actually took about 3 weeks through no fault of our facilitator, who was fantastic, but just weird little issues.
Technical issues.
Yeah.
Didn't they run out of plastic cards when you guys were? Yeah, they ran out of equipment.
Yeah.
And what?
The printer was broken.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the equipment wasn't working, which is typical too.
Yeah, and we did it in a way that she applied for the visa initially through economic solvency, and then we're doing family unification here, and it could have been, well, it wasn't a hard process, but it ended up being a 3-week process, right, to get it done. Partly because of the Hong Kong issue, partly because I came in as a tourist and I didn't realize I should have come in
with me
as a tourist, but like stamped, but I never got a stamp.
Kiosk. Yeah, he shouldn't be.
I went through a kiosk. Yeah. That's right. So
you like basically canceled out your residency.
Well,
your
I didn't have
pre-approval.
it yet. Yeah, I didn't have it yet. She had it, so she was fine.
So I went through the counter, so I didn't go through the kiosk, but he should also have a stamp.
Right. So that caused a problem. So I would say that anybody watching, if you're coming in and you're trying to get
family unification or family unity, different people call it different things.
Yeah. If you're going for that, the person who doesn't have the visa in their stamp, still speak to an agent at the airport and get that stamp, because it makes life so much easier.
Yeah. I think what also would help a lot with some of these things is for those of you guys who are working with facilitators who are watching this, is to make sure that you mention to them every single person in your household that you're trying to get a residency visa for, so they can tell you exactly. Because it's a lot of information to try to remember. And then you're at the airport and you're like, wait, what am I supposed to do? And you can go blank, and it, like, to no fault of your own, it's kind of a complicated process. So it's important to have somebody that can guide you and tell you, like, okay, remember when you get there, make sure you do this and this and that. And then once you actually have your appointment at immigration, make sure you do this and this and that. To try to remind you of what the procedure is to help you avoid mistakes and to help you avoid delays. It worked out for you guys, but I see it all the time where people are like, oh, I forgot to talk to an agent about me being pre-approved for my residency, and I got marked as a tourist. And that can cause a huge delay for people who are trying to get their residency finished in Mexico.
Yep.
So yeah, I think facilitators, in my opinion, if there's one person you're going to hire in Mexico to help you through the process of something, I would say immigration facilitators. I agree that all of them are worth their entire services in gold. But I think immigration facilitators particularly help take away a lot of the stress from the residency visa process. So, okay, let's get into some of your cost of living, because I know that that's a lot of people's, questions, and I know that they're curious. So, first and foremost, how did you find your house? How did you find your rental?
Okay, so through our facilitator, well, yeah,
Contact.
through her, and also on Facebook groups, in Aguascalientes, I put out questions,
Yeah.
and one facilitator kind of came out kind of above the rest. So I mean, like more recommendations from people,
Got
and
it.
then our facilitator, that was the final approval we needed to hire Miriam. And so I just contacted her. She and her partner Kike, they just were super friendly. They had all these ideas of, like where we could live, and then we had to kind of narrow things down, to the neighborhoods we're looking at, and then they showed us places. We're going to rent one place on the south, and the day that we said, okay, we're going to rent it, 5 minutes before,
Yeah.
we got signed by somebody.
Yes.
No,
Yeah.
somebody else rented it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but we found a new place, and yeah, they are really good. We're very happy with those two, Mary and Kiki.
Yeah, they're very nice people. I've met them too, and they are very nice people, and very, very willing to help
Yeah.
people find rentals, which is not very common for realtors, because a lot of them want to focus only on sales.
Yeah.
But they're very willing to, and also just even show and share their knowledge of Aguascalientes.
Yeah.
Even if you don't, I mean, I don't want to promote that and don't rent from them, because I want them to get the business. But they're just so helpful. They're so helpful.
Absolutely.
So what size is your house? How many bedrooms?
3.
3
bedroom.
Yeah, 3 bedroom, 3 bath. There's 2 car parking space to park 2 cars. I speak English, but it doesn't seem like it.
I get it. We get it.
There's a small backyard with grass, just like a rectangle of grass back there. That our cat likes to go out and eat it and then come in and throw up. It was unfurnished. We're looking for a furnished place, but we ended up getting unfurnished.
And it's a gated community.
Yep. Yeah.
So they have some other, like a common area, a gym.
Yeah.
2 pools.
2 pools, 1 indoor lap pool, 1 outdoor.
And
some barbecue areas, those kinds of things.
Pickleball court, which we need to start
nice.
playing. Yeah.
Nice.
And yeah, it's a nice community. In like I said, in the west part of town, that's I think is kind of the up and coming part of the city. So
yeah, like if somebody wanted to buy a house, maybe that would be the best place, because there's a lot of development happening, and the prices are probably still very, very affordable.
I think so. We actually talked with a gal who is from Aguascalientes just the other day, and she lives kind of southwest. So we gave her a ride home from somewhere because we had a car. And, she was saying, being somebody from here, that's the spot that she thinks the Southwest and the West are the place to be, because they're planning, the planning going into those communities are a little farther along than when things were built in the South. So the West and the Southwest, they're going to put the power lines underground, and there's plans for other plazas and malls, and all that stuff. So
the amenities that people want to live by,
live
nearby, and all the commerce, and therefore maybe nicer medical centers and things like that. Yeah, makes total sense. Well, particularly the power lines being underground, I think is just really pretty, because sometimes they look really, really full of power lines in one single post. It looks kind of ugly. I mean, it's not the prettiest. But yeah, so I know a lot of people probably are wondering, how much do you pay for your rent?
Okay, so our rent is higher than we'd initially budgeted for.
Okay.
So we're actually paying 14,000 pesos a month, plus 1,200 pesos for the maintenance fee or whatever, the management fee. Yeah. So we're paying 15,200. And our initial budget that we're going to go with was, we didn't want to cross the 60,000 peso threshold. Like we're like, why do we want to spend that much? So this ended up being 1/4 of our initial thought of what our budget would be in Mexico.
Got it. For those of you wondering at home, like what that conversion is, the peso right now is at about 20 pesos to $1, or about 14 Canadian dollars. 13.5, 13.6. So 14,000 is about $700 and some a month, plus the maintenance, which covers the common areas, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And maybe some water?
No.
No utilities whatsoever.
Yeah,
No.
we're paying a little more than so our friends who we met are like, yeah, you're paying kind of a little elevated price, but it's our first year, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think a lot of people also need to realize that maybe the first 6 months to your first year are going to be some of your most expensive. As you start realizing like what is common, what isn't common, or you get better at finding better deals and what is a true price of things. So all in all, your rental is about $760 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's for 3 bedrooms, 3 baths. That's in a very nice community. And, I saw the house that when we initially talked looked very modern.
Yep.
The kitchen looked very modern. I know it's not furnished, so, you did have to initially spend some money on furnishing it.
Yeah, but you can find, so the furniture we have kind of reminds me of my first solo apartment after college, right? So we didn't buy the best quality stuff, but it's not bad quality. It just something that to last us 2-3 years, maybe last us a year and then sell it and then buy better stuff maybe. But there are so many shops around Aguascalientes where you can find good deals.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you recommend that people bring, like in your experience, now that you guys have been there for a little while now, you've been furniture shopping and you've gone to kind of get an idea of what is available. We get asked all the time, like, should I bring my things from back home? Should I sell them? Will I be able to find everything in Mexico? What's your experience?
I think we actually can find everything that we need here. Maybe the good quality stuff, and people really want to bring the stuff that I think if they can find like a logistic company to move the stuff, and it's okay, but I think we can find the thing that we need here.
Yeah. I mean, like, for example, when I moved to Cambodia, I sold a house in the US before I moved. So I had a house full of stuff, but I just sold everything. And I moved to Cambodia with a couple suitcases. That's all I had to my name. And
that's what we did.
It was nice. And and then we did that coming here. And for us, it's kind of like, you move somewhere new. Do you want to bring that stuff from home, or do you want to start new? Yeah. It just depends on the person.
Yeah. I think that's a good way to think about it too. It depends on the person. I also think it depends where in Mexico you're moving to, and where you're moving from. So like, for example, if you're moving to somewhere with high humidity and your furniture is not made for that high humidity, it will warp, it might get damaged, especially if you're not running maybe like your air conditioner all the time to keep the atmosphere dry, which, by the way, is not common in Mexico, in a very hot area, to run your air conditioning 24/7. I know people do it, but it's not common. So, I do think it depends where you're moving from, where you're moving to, what type of furniture you have. But I do agree with you. You can find everything. And certain things that are very luxury might be more expensive. But if you were bringing your things from Canada or maybe the United States, you'd have to consider the cost of a moving company too. And that would add up into the total cost.
Like for a bed here, because after years in Cambodia where we never had a comfortable bed, We wanted a king size comfortable bed, so we ordered a memory foam king size through Amazon.
Yes.
For about, how much was that?
It was about 6,000.
Yeah, it's about 300 USD.
Yeah.
And it's super comfortable, you know.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. That's not a bad price.
Deal, like, I think we ordered during Black Friday, so there was a really good deal.
Yeah, and the Buen Fin.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Fin.
Mexico's version of Black Friday.
Yeah.
Yes.
What about your other expenses, like utilities, groceries, possibly insurance, car maintenance?
Hold on, I got old eyes. I got to put these on. Okay.
Okay.
So in January, we actually felt like we were overspending. Like transport around town, because we didn't have a car yet. We actually had to take a few Ubers because we're kind of going far away. So our transport around town ended up being about 1,300 pesos, so about 65 USD. We buy all of our produce at the tianguis nearby in La Soledad. So we spent about 1,500 pesos, so about $75. But we just went to a new tianguis yesterday in San Marcos, and
even better.
Yeah, it was like a third the price. So you just have to find the right tianguis to go to.
Yeah.
And
that's for the month. That's 1,300 pesos, or about $75 for the month at the tianguis.
For the month, and we buy a lot of vegetables.
What do you buy there? Yeah.
Well, we make our own
spaghetti sauce,
marinara sauce here. So we buy a ton of tomatoes, garlic, onions, peppers,
avocados.
The avocado's not the sauce, but yeah.
I know, but yeah.
Carrots.
Yeah.
Lettuce, cabbage.
You ever buy meat there?
We haven't bought it at the tianguis, but we're gonna start buying at a carniceria in San Marcos that our facilitator said is really good.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So most of your produce comes from the tianguis.
Yep.
Okay.
And we had gone to Costco also a couple times. So we spent, like about 5,000 pesos at Costco. Bought a few more groceries at Soriana,
other supermarkets.
Yeah, places like that. But our groceries came out to about just under 6,000. Dining out, we spent about 5,500, so that's about 275. So anyway, but this is after we bought our furniture, so we're not including our furniture on this. But like our water was 320 for the month, so about $16.
About $15, yeah, 16.
Yeah. Like I said, gas for the house, we spent 500 pesos in January, but we didn't buy any in December or November. We haven't bought any this month.
Yeah.
We even Nicky got some contacts, the Costco. So we spent some money there, and then medical. Nicky saw a doctor, and that only came out to 750 pesos, which was great.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. So even with all this, right, and our phone plans for Mexico and the U.S. and Hong Kong, and our house rental, and we have a reverse osmosis system for drinking water.
Okay.
Our total for the month came out to 36,000 pesos,
which is about $2,300 US.
Oh no, it's actually about 1,800.
Oh wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. My math is terrible.
No, yeah. So
yeah, about 1,800.
Yeah, we came in at 1,800. But then, like, let's say, because we just got health insurance for the two of us. That's good throughout all of Mexico, and car insurance. And even if you add that we didn't have that expense in January. That's 10,000 for the car and for us. So even if you include that comes out to 46,000 for the month of January, which is still, $2,350. So
yeah.
Very,
very affordable for sure. $1,800 bucks. Where are you going to be able to live on $1,800 anywhere?
And we weren't skimping either.
And what?
We weren't skimping at all. We were we're doing what we wanted to do.
You felt like you were, you felt like January was like a high spending month.
Yeah.
That's what we thought.
Yeah, we're like, oh my God, we just, like we went to Costco and spent so much money. Okay, now we did this, spent so much money, because you see the numbers are 20 times a US dollar. So it feels like a lot. And then
you're like 2,000 pesos for, meat or whatever. No, I totally get it. Yeah, for you guys wondering at home, I know we're throwing a lot of like thousands out there. Keep in mind there is a conversion of about 20 Mexican pesos to $1 US. So just a quick trick is to basically divide by 2 and take away a 0.
Yep.
That's how most people do it. When it's 20 Mexican pesos to $1, sometimes it can be 17, sometimes it can be 16, which obviously doesn't give you as much purchasing power. But yeah, that's great, you guys. I mean, that's the dream.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that I think this is why Aguascalientes is, in my opinion, an area that people need to consider, because I do think that the cost of living in Aguascalientes is lower than in other parts of Mexico.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Did you consider any of the rental prices in Puebla? Did you look into that before thinking of moving there?
I think we did look at it, but it was really briefly before we moved here. I think we did look at some of the houses, but.
And we also checked out Guadalajara, because we were kind of like, do we want to live in a big city, or do you want to live in a smaller city? I mean, I'm no offense to anybody who lives in Guadalajara. I mean, we enjoyed our time in Guadalajara, but it just felt too big for us. Especially after Phnom Penh, this chaos of a city.
So busy,
We wanted somewhere we could relax.
Yeah. How about your car? How much did you purchase your car for? I think that's also another question that we get a lot of.
So I bought it through a friend of mine who had it kind of registered through his family's business. So it's a 10-year-old Mazda 3 sedan.
Okay. Good car.
Yep. And with about 140,000 kilometers on it, we paid 180,000, so about $9,000.
Okay.
But I mean, had it checked out, went through the whole process of making sure that there wasn't money owed on it, that it wasn't involved in a crime.
That taxes have been paid on it, that it wasn't stolen, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But I think that's a very standard price for that car. I mean, another thing in Mexico is also, you might have noticed this too, especially on used cars. People don't sell their cars as easily. Like, I mean, they don't get rid of their cars as much as maybe, other cultures are used to it.
Yeah. And it runs great. And then after buying the car, that's when a whole new set of challenges come in.
Talk about that.
Yes. You want to start with it?
Yeah, so it's because the plate wasn't registered here, so it's another town.
San Luis Potosí.
Yes, so have to his friend have to go back, bring the car back to
San Luis Potosí.
I know, it's a mouthful.
And then bring the car back here. And then we have to register for a new plate. So there's another.
But first. So first so he had to get a bill of sale, and then we had to go through our bank, right? That we got an account here with, and then process the sale. But then after that, he had to go back to San Luis Potosí to return the plates. But that week, they had some sort of debt forgiveness and discount for people in San Luis Potosí. So every single day for like a week, he would go, his dad would go or something, and there would be a line so long that they knew that if they got in line, they wouldn't even get in the door. So that got delayed a week. So then he finally got the plates turned in, and then the whole process in Aguascalientes. What was the first step after that? We have
to get a permit if we want to drive with a license plate.
Yep.
We have to get a permit. So there's a whole process to start with from there.
Yeah.
Then we have to make appointment to make sure that the license canceled and is
That it's
set.
canceled in that other state and that you
Yeah.
can register it in Aguascalientes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then we make an appointment to go in to have the car inspected.
Yes.
And then get our plates. But that was crazy because like there's like this line of cars,
Very long.
and you just wait in this line of cars, and finally you get into this building, and then you pop your hood, and then you sit down. You give it a number, and then about 3 hours go by, and then you go to one window, and then they say, "Oh, we need 5 copies of this thing." And so my friend Beto, you like run out, make some copies, come back,
yes.
and then they're like, "Oh wait, we need a copy of this too." Okay, so we run out, get a copy, and then so then at the end of that, we're supposed to get our plates, but it was like 50-50 whether we'd get our plates that day, and that was Tuesday, and we were told that we'd probably get the plates today, like this morning, but they're not ready yet. So we're gonna just go back on Thursday with my friend Beto to say,
On our plates, please. Yeah, basically, I'm at your mercy for my plates.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
our permit to drive is good for 30 days. So we paid extra money to have the entire month.
You have enough buffer.
Yeah, and we also got our licenses here in Aguascalientes too, which
Good. That's really
seemed
good.
hard at the time, but after trying to register a car,
I think it's good to have that. Yes.
That was a walk in the
license was super
park.
simple.
Yeah. You thought that maybe like, it was going to be hard, but actually compared to the registering of the car,
Yeah.
it was easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good tip for a lot of people who might be thinking about buying a car in Mexico. Is it matters that the car is being sold or has plates from the state that you are buying it in. It's not that it's impossible for you to register it then if it's not, but it will end up adding a lot of time to the process because it needs to be basically like decommissioned in one state to then be registered in a different state.
Yeah. If we buy another used car, we are going to make sure it has plates from Aguascalientes.
From Aguascalientes, yeah. Lesson learned. Yeah, well, that's good. I like your spirit. I like that you're laughing through all this. I think it's important for people to remember that not to sweat the little things. They can become big things if you end up sweating all the little things, and then you end up getting really discouraged. And I do see that people end up leaving Mexico because of the bureaucracy sometimes. So I think it's important to come with the right expectation that things will be hard sometimes and that you just need to take it one day at a time.
Yes.
My old mentor, so I worked for a long time at Patagonia at the company in Reno, and my mentor was fantastic. He just recently passed away, which is sad. But when I was younger, I was kind of a hothead, like most guys are, but I think. But I would let things really get to me. And Lloyd, my mentor, he'd call me into the office, and his thing was, "This too shall pass," And then Hanlon's razor. That never attribute to malice. Well, okay, this isn't exactly the point, but like Hanlon's razor is like never attribute to malice that which can be adequately explained by stupidity, which means like people aren't trying to be mean to you. They might just not know how to do it right, or how to communicate with you correctly. So you just kind of go, you know what? There's no bad intentions. It's just difficulties.
Yeah. Spoken like a true empath. Yeah, you can recognize that, they're just doing their job.
Yes.
And they have a process to follow, and it might not make sense to you. And, they're not trying to be hard on you or put obstacles in your way. It's just that, there is a different process. They have to follow it. Sometimes for them, even it's like, yes, I know it's like a little old school, but that's just the way things are. And I do think Mexico is changing, by the way, in that regard. Yeah. Sorry.
But no, but 99% of the time, I feel like like, even if it's frustrating, the people are super nice.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
They're trying to help you.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. They usually do it with a good attitude, and they're not like,
Yeah.
you're like, next, you know, get out of my way. Yeah, I agree with that. Especially the people that are used to maybe dealing with a lot of foreigners. Like I've seen immigration agents be so kind to people who probably should not have received their cards at the time because they didn't have the complete paperwork, but they will help them out. And I think that is so nice of them because that truly is outside of the scope of their work.
Yes.
So they really are trying to be helpful with somebody that they see is obviously like trying to get something done.
Yes.
Well, and Aguascalientes is known for the nicest people in Mexico. And
Yes.
we feel that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
slogan.
That's a good thing to bring up. Have you felt any change in the culture? I know that this is a question that we get, and you know, for me, the answer is no. But I know that a lot of people feel that maybe there is animosity towards foreigners moving to Mexico. So, have you felt any cultural shifts in the last 6 months towards any Americans?
No.
No.
I think because like Evan speaks Spanish. I think that really helped. That they feel like, oh, you're not just coming here not speaking the language, and it does really help with the breach of like people see that, oh, you speak Spanish, and
Yeah.
so it was really helpful.
Oh, and my Spanish is by no means perfect, so I butcher my Spanish a lot. But you know,
you're trying.
Yeah, I don't really care if I'm not worried about looking stupid. Like, you know, not saying I look stupid, but just
Making mistakes.
Yeah. And I make mistakes all the time. Like, as soon as I get comfortable in my Spanish, then I just hit a wall, you know? And everybody has been so
Very
pleasant
patient,
and nice. Yeah. And they just get excited that you're speaking, like that you're at least making the effort. And I feel that way. Like we meet people who speak some English, or some people who speak fantastic English here. But the people who speak some English, they try, but they also apologize for not being good at English. And I'm like, but we're in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know,
don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they want to practice with you, and they want to show off that, like, you know, they can actually communicate in your language too.
Yeah. And I do too. I want to try that as well.
Yeah. In all honesty, it does make it easier. Yeah, I think that's good advice for anyone. It doesn't matter where in Mexico you're going to move to, by the way. I think that learning Spanish, even just the basics, and then from there expanding and continuously being a student of the language. Because there's different levels. People learn it at different levels, you know, and it's okay for you to move and not be fluent on day one. It's okay. Don't feel bad about that. As long as you're continuously trying to learn.
Yeah.
But I think it's a good reminder. Like, the minute you start trying to learn the language, I guarantee you doors will open. People will be nicer. People will be more helpful. People will be, that warm feeling that you hear about the Mexican people really comes out when you try to communicate in the language that they're familiar. And that just really shows them that you're trying to integrate.
Yeah. Oh, heck. I mean, like, I've had times where, because I joined a basketball team here. So I play in this league. And before, when I was taking the bus, you know, sometimes we'd have games at 10:30 at night, and I'd take a bus back, and then I'd walk, you know, like a bit. And, you know, even at 11:30 at night, like walking on the main street, I'll chat with whoever's walking, you know, and it's just like, I don't know, you'll see somebody who looks like, okay, so like if they're in certain parts of the US, might get pulled over for no reason, right? And because of a look. But then you speak to that person, and you know, you say hello in Spanish, and you kind of have a quick conversation, and it's like they just kind of open up, and it feels so good. And just to meet people on the street, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Do you feel that's different than Cambodia or even the United States or maybe even Hong Kong? Do you feel like people are more open to talking to strangers?
I think it's here is more like Hong Kong is a big city. I mean, people do talk to other, but they normally don't. Cambodia, because of the language barrier, we cannot actually speak Khmer,
Mhm.
so that was hard. But I see the like how he talked to people, just anyone, and people is like, oh, they all open up very easily.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I see the difference here.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, you can tell me, but I might come across as a jerk. I don't know, but no, but just
Not at all.
But like, I don't know. I feel like you don't have. I don't feel the division here that I mean. I
It's
don't want to talk
okay.
bad
I
about
don't
the
think you
US.
need to be like, afraid of what you're about to say.
Yeah, like I don't want to talk bad about the U.S. because I'm from the U.S. and you know I feel lucky in some ways to be from the U.S. But I feel like there is a division there. It's like um, it is more difficult to integrate, people. And here I just feel like everybody welcomes you. Like as long as you're trying and you're friendly, then yeah, we
People
haven't.
I feel in Mexico are more genuinely curious about others.
Yeah.
They'll ask you like, oh, and why Mexico? Why did you guys decide to like they're very curious as to why people want to move to Mexico. And then when you tell them that, because you love this or that, or they're like, oh, really? Yeah. And like it really does kind of feed into the pride, right? Because Mexicans are very proud to be Mexican. But they're also very, I feel like, genuinely interested in foreigners and other people, even not foreigners. Like, I mean, it's kind of ingrained in our culture to be inquisitive and ask a lot of questions, and just even if it's surface level. Whereas I feel like maybe in the U.S. people are more guarded, maybe Canada too, because that's kind of cultural. That's normal, right? To just everyone kind of stays in their group, and only their family is like your close knit community. So I want to mention something to you guys who are watching us from home. Please go ahead and start posting your questions. If you have questions for them about Aguascalientes, or if you have questions for them about their life in Mexico, start posting them, because this is really, the live stream is for you guys at home watching. Hopefully that you find some helpful tidbits of information today. Somebody's asking, so is it hard or easy to rent without having a naval in Aguascalientes?
Do you know what that is? Okay. Okay. So we obviously we didn't have an aval because we had never been to Aguascalientes. And we didn't know anybody who owned property. And I guess here it's not super common. So we got a póliza jurídica through our rental agent. Who had a lawyer who, so we went that route.
You went through a company and everything.
Yeah, you can also like do 2-month deposit.
Yeah, so we're given 2 options.
In lieu of the póliza jurídica?
Yeah.
Okay.
We chose not to do that. I mean, the póliza jurídica was a little more expensive, but you just, I mean, you hope you get your deposit back at the end, but you never know. So we don't want to put 2 months into something,
50-50 chance.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah, we had that policy. It's supposed to help us if we have a problem with the landlord, I guess. We haven't tried it out, so
sure.
I'm assuming it
Well,
works.
you never have to, but
yeah. So it was pretty straightforward.
Yes.
For those of you wondering what a póliza jurídica is, it's a type of insurance that you buy through a company. Usually, insurance companies sell it. Maybe sometimes lawyers, in this case, as Evan mentioned, but it's a type of insurance policy that helps protect the landlord in case the tenant doesn't pay. And it's just like you basically pay this insurance company a type of escrow, or like a type of money that they can hold in case, you as a tenant forfeit and you leave Mexico and you never come back, and then the landlord is stuck with the rental that you didn't fulfill. So in a lot of places, like Querétaro is also another city where this is common. Mexico City, this is also common. If you don't have an aval, for those of you wondering what an aval is, it's usually a cosigner or somebody who owns property in Mexico or some other interest or has collateral. So if in case you do not pay your rent, then your aval is basically, or your cosigner is on the hook. But a lot of people who are moving to Mexico that don't have any family members or don't know anybody, they don't have an aval. So how are they going to rent a place that requires an aval? Well, that's where the Póliza Jurídica sometimes comes into play.
Yep, absolutely.
And I guess, Rosenda, I hope that answers your question. How can I get around that? So that is... What did they ask you when you rented your place? Other than the Póliza Jurídica, what kind of documents did you have to sign?
They actually asked about the bank statement. I have to show the bank statement.
Yeah, to prove that
your economic situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, to prove that you have the money to pay rent.
Sure. Sure. Did they ask you for your residency cards?
They did.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
passport.
because we got the residency card. Did we get the RFC before we rented?
No.
Okay, so we just had to have the CURP number and our passports and the finances.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And your CURP, for anybody wondering, you only get when you're a national or a resident. So if they ask you for a CURP, you have to be a resident or a national.
Yeah.
Did they ask you for a deposit for Leo? By the way, their cat's name is the best I have heard. What is your cat's name?
Leo DiCaprio. He's kind of a diva. So
yes. He's sleeping.
He's sleeping right now on the couch. So,
okay, we won't disturb DiCaprio. But did they ask you for a significant deposit for Leo?
No.
Okay, no deposit.
They said it's okay to have a pet.
Okay.
I think it helps that it was unfurnished.
Yes.
I think it was furnished. There would have been a deposit. So.
Yeah. But it wasn't an issue. Like they didn't give you a hard time about.
No, but actually finding a house that will rent you when you own a cat is actually not that easy. It's much easier to find a rental, at least here in Aguascalientes, from what we've seen. If you have a dog.
Dogs.
Yeah.
I think cats just have like a more stereotype of being more destructive and, not that they are, but I think, especially in Mexico, I think that people who own cats are just kind of like maybe, I don't know, or people who don't own cats, or maybe they just don't know, right? So I think it has kind of that stereotype. People are wondering what's the air quality like. They've read some things that, the air quality in Aguascalientes is not great. Quality issue, specifically people with asthma. Maybe you guys don't have asthma, so you can't speak to that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's some people said that, but
maybe because of the dry air.
And sometimes they burn stuff.
Yeah, sometimes there's smoke in the air from burning, which is also something we experienced in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Usually it seems pretty good. Sometimes I would say like more in the centro area.
Yeah.
Maybe the air quality gets a little worse because it's very compact. Everybody's really close to each other. Out where we are, there's a lot less development, so I feel like the air quality here is better. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Like, I mean, I think Mexico City is known for having some of the worst air pollution. I personally am not affected by it, but I know people who are, and they get very sick. If you're interested in learning more about that, there's many apps out there that will tell you the air quality of a city. So I really suggest looking one up if that's really important to your health. And any city in Mexico that you're interested living in, do some research on that. Because their experience and my experience might be totally different than what you experience when
Well, I can tell you, I mean, again, I'm comparing someplace halfway around the world, but when we're in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, we had skin issues. Our cat had skin issues just because of all the stuff in the air, and like you get respiratory issues, and all that is gone.
Yeah,
that's great.
So
yeah, that's great. That's great. Your skin is better. Your cat's skin is better.
Yeah.
Do you? Now, I think I know the answer to this, but I will let you guys answer. How many expats are living in Aguascalientes? And maybe expats is kind of like the all-encompassing word for foreigners. But maybe let's focus on not the foreigners that are working in some of these like big corporations that are relocated from other countries to work at, you know, the Samsungs of the world. Or the Nissans of the world.
It seems pretty small.
It's small.
Yeah, the expat population. But there is an expat population, and like you know, if you're afraid that you're going to move here and you know you're going to feel isolated, there's actually every Thursday there's the Aguascalientes language exchange in Central, and it's mostly Mexican people who want to speak English. And then a smattering of people from outside of Mexico, but I'd say most of the population here, not from Aguascalientes, are you know from like Mexico City, Guadalajara, Zacatecas, you know these different places. Yeah.
San Luis Potosí.
Yeah.
Those kinds of.
Yeah. So
what do you guys do for fun? Like, how do you, because I know that you both are not working anymore. So what do you guys do for fun?
What do you do?
Tell her. Yes, tell us, Nicky.
I like crochet, so I do that.
Crochet?
Crochet, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. That's wonderful. Are you able to find all your supplies for crocheting in Aguascalientes, or how do you get your supplies?
Yeah, they do have yarn shop here. They actually have a lot, but the quality is a little bit different than what I was expecting. So I need to get used to the different types of yarn for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And you play with.
Yeah, I play the flute, so I'm still doing more.
Really?
More time to practice.
And then I play basketball with that team. So we play every Sunday. I meet the guys on Saturday. We have a little practice on Saturday. We also take Spanish classes twice a week.
Yeah.
We go to the language exchange.
Yeah, it's a good way to meet people. Like even though not a lot of expat, but I think like it was great for us. I think like it was good to meet a lot of local people there.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's an advantage that it may not be all expats, and that
Yeah.
That's actually a big reason why I moved here, is because it's not a very expat hub, you know, like it's not in a Jijic or San Miguel de
Allende, or Puerto Vallarta.
It feels very like we're living in Mexico, and that's what we want, you know. So so we're trying to find our activities.
There's actually a lot of things happening in town, in Central. Like every month, I think they have like different things happen, and there's another like a food expo, kind of thing.
It's actually a YouTube a guy on YouTube. He's from Aguascalientes, so everything is in Spanish. He sometimes speaks really fast, but it's really cool information. I don't know if you want to say a name of a
by all means.
It's called like Volando Voy.
Volando Voy. Okay, let me find it for you guys real quick and put it in the comments.
And he's a guy from Aguascalientes, and he just loves to show his city. And it's and right now there is a big thing in around Jardín de San Marcos, like a food festival every Sunday for a while,
from 6 to 11.
Yeah, And when we first got here, our second day here was the start of the Festival de las Calaveras. So we spent a week kind of exploring San Marcos, like Isla San Marcos, Jardín de San Marcos, and seeing like cultural performances and getting food.
Every night they have different like activities, a concert,
yeah,
dancing and performances.
She had her first michelada there.
Yeah.
Nice. What did you think, Nikki?
It was very different, but I like it.
Yeah.
We have
michelada, by the way, in Aguascalientes. How do they prepare it? Because they prepare it differently in different parts of Mexico.
I think there was heavy put in vodka. They put in a lot of vodka.
I don't remember. It was strong.
Okay.
We don't drink a lot, and each having one of those, we're like, okay.
Wow. Okay. Like you definitely need to take an Uber home.
Yeah. Well, we walk home.
Okay, good. When you were able to walk it off.
Yeah.
For anybody wondering, I see a couple questions. How did they find their facilitator? Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this live stream, Nikki and Evan both bought the Complete Mexico Relocation Guide. And that is where they found the facilitator that they used for their immigration process, who then connected them with their realtors. Since then, I've connected with their realtors too, and we have now included them into our directory of recommended contacts. If you're interested in learning more about the online guide, what's included, how to get access to it, I'm going to include a link in the comments. You do have to purchase it. When you purchase it, you get instant access to a lot of information on moving to Mexico, but also our directory of contacts across different Mexican cities that can help you with things like getting your RFC, getting your residency cards, helping you get a driver's license, with a lot of various bureaucratic processes, which is usually where people need the most help. And then we also have a lot of other companies that we recommend, like international moving companies, healthcare brokers, a lot of different private relocation tour guides that can show you a different city or show you different cities across Mexico without any agenda to sell you real estate, by the way, which I think is huge. So you just get to sit back and see if maybe living in Aguascalientes is right for you or some other city in Mexico where we have recommendations. So anyway, if you're interested in learning more about that, I've included a link and you can check it out in the comments.
And let me just jump on that real quick. So for us, we bought the guide over a year ago, and it was money well spent.
Yeah,
it was really
very helpful.
Yeah,
so, very resourceful.
Thank you.
Thank you. What is the Asian community like in the area?
They actually there's a lot of Japanese and a lot of Korean, and we met a lady from China. So she worked in the company. She says there's a lot of Chinese here, but for some reason we don't see them.
Yeah,
I think because they were working in a company, so kind of like they stay together. Yeah,
there was a Japanese guy on like the first basketball game I played. He was on the other team. This team destroyed us, but they were super nice. And then I kind of chatted with him because when I was a kid, I lived in Japan when I was like for 5 years as a kid. So
You're half Japanese, no?
I'm half Japanese, yeah. And so there are some Asians here, but I don't know. It's like they mostly kind of stay in their together. Communities, But sometimes you'll meet people. Yeah.
In other words, there wasn't like a huge Lunar New Year or Chinese New Year event in Aguascalientes.
No, it wasn't. But there's some Chinese restaurant.
Okay.
And Japanese
and
Korean. Yeah.
How's the food in your opinion? Like restaurants? How are the restaurants in your opinion?
Let's start with the local food.
Yeah, we enjoy the local food a lot.
Yeah.
Especially the street tacos.
Yeah.
It's really good.
That's good.
Yes.
Some of the international, like we haven't had the best luck when it comes to international cuisine.
We haven't tried a lot yet.
Yeah.
We did try a few.
went to 3 Italian restaurants just to try them, and there was one. It was one that was actually pretty good.
Yeah, in Central.
But we're actually doing a lot more. We cook at home a lot now, and because we figure, like, if we're gonna have non-Mexican food and we're not finding what we want out there necessarily, let's learn to make it ourselves. But then for things like tacos, volcanes, whatever, huaraches and all that stuff, it's so affordable to get really good food. So when it comes to local food, we just go out. Like we're not even going to try to make it ourselves because there's no way we're going to make it as good.
You would have to buy the masa and start making your own, tortillas, and for sure, it's way more convenient. Specifically for the cost of eating out at street food vendors. Maybe in a sit-down restaurant, it's a little more like, involved in those kinds of things. So let's see. I know that you guys, we said that we would be here for an hour, and I definitely want to be mindful of their time. So I'm going to take 1 or 2 more questions. Peggy, I hope this answered your question on what they do for fun. I'm wondering if you guys can give any insight into, for those people that are very outdoorsy, maybe Evan, since you've been connected now with like the, more sporty people. And I don't know, Nicky, sorry if you have these types of like outdoor interests, but I don't want to single you out or anything like that. But I'm wondering if you guys can speak about that, like for people who like to be very outdoorsy, would Aguascalientes be the right place?
The bicycle. I think a lot of people ride bicycle.
Yeah, like
there's things to do for sure.
Road cycling. There's quite a few people on the road, especially as you're going west towards Calvillo. That's a pretty common route for cyclists.
Yes.
Picacho,
you can hike.
Okay. Let me just tell you. Everybody tells you that Picacho is this easy hike, and it is not.
Okay. You have to be fit.
Yeah, it's like you're scrambling up rocks, and
so it's unstable. Like the territory is literally unstable.
Yeah, and I had knee surgery back in '98 because I kind of destroyed my knee. So like it can swell up on me if I step wrong, and it's hard to get good on Picacho.
But it was like a challenge, but still it was actually pretty good. Like a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
We went one time like in the morning, and it was already a lot of people. The sunset, you can see sunrise and sunset.
And wow! Okay.
Really beautiful. Yeah.
But then you have to walk
there all day.
Yeah.
And there's also we went with Miriam and Kike, our realtors. We went to a park kind of
along the rivers. Yeah.
What was it? South.
South. Yes.
South. So there's a river, and then there's these spots where you can just you pay for parking, but then they have grills and things and areas that you can just use, which is really nice. And also with them, we went north to a lake
area
that was beautiful.
Was really nice, yes.
Good hiking and stuff up there as well. Just kind of you're out in nature. Super nice, super comfortable. So for outdoors people, there's a lot to do.
I think there's a lot to do.
There's a lot of stuff close by. Like if anybody here has lived in Reno like I did, it kind of reminds me of Reno. Like the downtown of Reno, you're like, okay, it's okay. But then everything around it is really cool. Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
And I mean, Aguascalientes is awesome. Aguascalientes.
But for outdoorsy, like the further you get from the city.
Yeah.
I hear you. This is a good question and one that we get a lot of, and I know it depends on what part of Mexico that you live in. But what about water shortages?
We have heard that there are issues here. We haven't experienced it yet. We have a cisterna, like underground, that fills up the city. Water fills it. But we have heard that in the north and the south, there are water issues, and some people will not have water for a day or two. So they'll have their cistern filled up. In the West right now, there's not as much of an issue from what we're hearing. We haven't experienced the time of year when there's water issues.
Summertime.
Yeah, summertime.
Yeah.
One thing that's interesting though is I did hear, because like we're about 2 hours, two and a half hours from San Luis Potosí, and we were told by somebody who knows this area really well that I guess San Luis Potosí has a lot of water underground. So if water is an issue, and like, let's say you're concerned about that, I mean, we're going to stay in Aguascalientes, but I think San Luis Potosí is another thing to possibly look at, you know?
Yeah. Somebody actually asked about, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the word, and it's like 30 comments up, but the hot water that comes from under the ground, what is this called?
Spring.
Oh, the hot spring, kind of?
Hot springs, yeah. And so San Luis Potosí has a lot of so, you know, something for you guys to consider too, if you're, but yeah, San Luis Potosí has water, has a lot of you know, outdoorsy things to do too. Yeah, I know that we will get questions about like outdoorsy things, and I know that it's like maybe they're looking for something very specific. Like it could be golfing, maybe it could be like, you know, basketball playing, pickleball. Some people are looking into hiking, mountain biking, those kinds of things. So I really do think that TripAdvisor is a great site to go see, like maybe some things to do near that city. Particularly for those people who are looking for like maybe a tour, or like, you know, more of the touristic side of things, and to get an idea of not even Aguascalientes, just other parts of Mexico. What is around there, and what kinds of tours could I see? And that gives you an idea of what kinds of adventures or outdoor activities there are to do.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
One more, and I promise I will let you guys go.
No
So
problem.
You mentioned that you just got medical insurance, and I know this is very top of mind for a lot of people. So would you mind talking about what kind of medical insurance you got, maybe what company, and about how much you're paying for your premiums?
You want to take it, or?
I start.
Okay.
So we have insurance with MetLife, and we got the plan is Plus.
Mas.
Mas.
So there's different levels.
There's a basic and then Mas, right?
Yeah. So the basic just covers 150-kilometer radius around Aguascalientes. Yes.
So it's only in the city, but then we got Mas is nationwide coverage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it covers like mid-tier hospitals, and maybe the lower upper tier hospitals. The next plan would have all the top hospitals in Mexico City or Guadalajara, but this does cover every hospital in Aguascalientes.
Yes.
Even the basic plan covers every hospital in Aguascalientes. So we're covered throughout Mexico. Like I think our maximum, the way we have it set up, the maximum would pay for a major incident is 77,000 pesos is the maximum we would pay out of pocket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's for something catastrophic.
About $3,800 or.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, we're very happy with the policy. We're paying. Let me look at her. So I say it right. Our insurance, where the heck is that? Here it is coming out to about 5,239 pesos per month, which is about $260 for both of us.
Yeah.
And we're both in our 50s. Like, you know, I mean, I'm older, she's younger, but
healthy, you know, pre-existing conditions. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, I do like my knee surgery. So
okay.
That so it won't cover my knee surgery. The one thing actually that to go along with that is our insurance person said well, was it an insurance person? No, it was somebody else who told us, but then we confirmed it through insurance, is if I want to get my knee fixed, right, at some point I'm going to have to get a new knee because it's a mess. They actually said if you're not in a rush, it's good to also sign up for the IMSS. And you might have a 2-year wait to get knee surgery because it's not critical, but it can be covered 100%.
The third year, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna also join IMSS and get that kind of in the plan.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea for maybe just as a backup to your insurance.
Yeah.
You can have both. And IMSS, I believe for your age is, I have it here real quick. For any of you guys wondering like what IMSS is, it's a government-sponsored public healthcare system that taxpayers pay money into. So basically think of it like a Social Security hospital. However, you as a foreigner, if you are a resident, you can sign up for it and pay the yearly premium. For somebody in their 50s, it's 13,000 pesos a year. So it's about $650 a year. And then it goes up from there. Like the most you would pay if for anybody 80 years old or above, it's 20,500. Currently, it's going to go up the beginning of March. These prices will go up a little bit. But right now it's 20,500, which is about $1,000 a year. Now, there are waiting periods. So usually with IMSS, you don't get full coverage until after the third year. Something for you guys to be aware of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great, if you cannot get insurance anywhere else and IMSS will take you, it's a great option for those of you guys. For those of you who are thinking of moving to Mexico and wondering about health insurance. There are some downsides to IMSS too, though. It is a public system, meaning, the majority of Mexicans will have it. So there are longer waiting periods, longer wait times. And, if it's not like a life or death situation, you may wait a while to be seen.
Yes. Well, and also with IMSS, we just went today. We're not signed up with them yet, and we got some vaccines today. So Nikki got her flu.
No, you got.
Well, I got the flu vaccine. We both got the tetanus, and then they said in 2 weeks they'll have the COVID shots, and all that's covered. Like we just had to go in, show our resident cards. We're in and out of there in less than an hour. And most of that time was trying to figure out which office to go to, because we didn't know. But yeah, so I got a flu shot today. I got a tetanus shot. She got a tetanus shot. And we're told to come back in 2 weeks for the COVID shot. And it's just COVID. And when I checked in the US without insurance, because I've been out of the US for so long, how much was it going to cost for my COVID? And
the COVID was 140.
Yeah, COVID in the US.
The flu was like 35.
Yeah. So,
crazy how different medical services are, right? How affordable and accessible.
Yeah.
I know it's all relative because to Mexicans it might seem like a lot, for especially people who are very much on the lower side of incomes. But yeah, for anybody earning dollars and bringing them to Mexico, medical is just so affordable in Mexico and great quality. So,
and that's one thing we'll talk about real quick is I know there's people are wondering how to move money from outside of Mexico to Mexico.
Yes, thank you.
So we have a bank in Hong Kong, we have a bank in the US, we have bank accounts here in Mexico, and we use Wise. Super simple to transfer money, and basically what we do is we just wait until the exchange rate's in our favor, and then move some money into Wise and then into Mexico. And it takes what?
It depends. Like if holidays, of course, they take longer, but normally it can get really quickly.
Like in an hour, 10 minutes. Yeah.
So that's what we do, and it's super simple. And we also got the new card here, the credit card. You get a super low limit. Like, how much did I get? 500. I got 500 peso limit, right? But you can also put money into what they call like a box, and then that
will increase your credit.
Your limit, yeah.
Yeah, for however much money you have in there. So it's like a secured credit with a small unsecured credit. And then, but whatever you put in that box, and you can move up to 24,000 pesos a month, you get 12% annual interest on that money.
Yeah, so that's huge.
Yeah. So while it's sitting there, you're using it as your credit card. You're making interest. And then
and you're building credit in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, we use it for everything. And then we also got Liverpool cards, which you can get with just your resident card. And our RSC number.
Yes.
Yeah, we had to have an RSC number for that. But with having the Liverpool card, I mean, I'm not proud or ashamed of what I bought at Liverpool, but I got a PS5, a PlayStation 5. Which to her credit, she just goes, well, you're going to get it anyway. So let's get it. But with a Liverpool card,
very low interest,
1,000 pesos, right? For the PlayStation 5. And then, but it's over 13 months without interest, right?
So like an installment program.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing. So
you don't have to pay upfront.
Yeah. And then
and that also helps you build credit.
Yeah, and we only had $8,000 peso limit for Liverpool, so we still had to pay more money. But then we're able to use the new card to pay the balance, and we got 9 months without interest on that amount.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. Yeah.
And the reason why maybe having a card in Mexico, for anybody who's wondering why it's important, is a lot of retailers will require you to have a Mexican card. Like if you want to put your electricity on auto pay, if you want to buy even from things like Mercado Libre, which is like Mexico's version of eBay, or even buy some things on, I know some people have had problems buying things on Amazon Mexico with their foreign cards. Not everybody. I think it just depends on what bank you have. So there are a lot of benefits to having a Mexican card, other than it also helps you build your credit. So yeah, that's a great tip, Evan. Thank you so much for bringing that up. It almost slipped my mind.
Well, and we got bank accounts with BBVA. We tried with HSBC because she has HSBC in Hong Kong, and they said no, you have to be a permanent resident. But BBVA, we were able to. It took some time, but we were able to open accounts. And then they said after about 4 months, would get a credit card through BBVA as well.
Yeah.
So just, we're doing all these things to just build credit.
Yeah, it's important. Maybe one day you want to buy another car from an agency, or maybe one day you buy a house, or and maybe you want to look into some mortgages. So yeah, that's awesome.
One thing about phone plan, we only get the physical SIM card because we are temporary.
Yeah.
So we can't get the eSIM. So they told us that if we are permanent residents, then we can get the eSIM.
But
you're talking about Telcel, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But I've heard other people haven't had that problem. So I don't know. It could be a language thing. It could be a certain branch thing.
Yeah, I've heard mixed reviews about that too. For anybody who's wondering about getting eSIMs, Telcel offers them, Telmex offers them. There's other companies you can buy them at Oxxos. But yeah, I've heard mixed things about them. If you don't want to have a plan and you just want to kind of buy as you go, apparently some Telcel retailers will ask you to be a permanent resident, whereas others temporary is fine. Some I've even heard tourists get eSIMs. So I think it just really depends what part of Mexico you're in, and maybe what policy that store has. But this has been really good information, you guys. I know that people at home are very appreciative. You guys are getting a lot of comments, a lot of, saying how helpful this chat has been. So I can't thank you enough for spending your evening with us and answering a lot of my questions and the questions that I know that people will probably have. So thank you so much for being our guest. I want to thank everyone at home also for tuning in, and I hope that you guys have learned something about Aguascalientes. and about moving and living in Mexico and some of the challenges and also some of the nicer prices that you will find. If you want to learn more about Aguascalientes, we have a blog post on it on mexicorelocationguide.com. And yeah, what are any closing words that you might want to say to anybody who's watching from home?
Do you have anything? Okay, so I would say Aguascalientes is a fantastic place. Is it better than other parts of Mexico? It depends on the individual. But I'd say if you're coming to Aguascalientes, just bring a good attitude and enjoy what the city has to offer. You know, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
I would say that applies to anywhere in the world. Bring a good attitude everywhere.
And they have biggest festival every year.
Oh,
La Feria de San Marcos. Yeah.
We're going to experience that this April. Yeah. It's going to be crazy.
Huge. Yeah. Huge festival in Aguascalientes. Lots of people travel from all over Mexico to come.
Yes.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for spending your evening with us. And I hope that we can do this again. Maybe we'll do one in a year, follow up and see where you guys are at. Maybe you're still in Aguascalientes. Maybe you've went somewhere else, or, maybe you bought a house. Maybe you've learned some new things that you can share with our audience.
Well, thank you for having us and for sharing the awesomeness of I can't speak. The awesomeness of Aguascalientes with people.
Yeah.
Thank you both.
Right.
And I hope Leo DiCaprio isn't too upset that I've taken his parents from him for hours now.
He's still sleeping.
Okay, that's good. That's a good cat life, man. That's a good cat life.
Yep.
Everyone at home, thank you so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for another live stream coming up soon. I will share that in our newsletter. If you want to join our newsletter, it's 100% free. mexicorelocationguide.com/newsletter. We share a lot of information on moving to Mexico, and that's usually where you learn about these Q&A. So join if you haven't. So thank you guys.
Okay. Luego.
Gracias. Bye.